Ezekiel, Robles. My thesis today is on the power of sports and music and how it's beneficial in education. Before we start off, I kind of want to ask a little rhetorical question of what you guys think of when you first think of like school. And I think most people here, and myself included, usually think of the standard subjects of reading, math, science, Latin if you're a homeschooler. And these are the kind of subjects that are tested and used to decide whether you are successful in the classroom and even in life. But ask almost any student, and you will hear a very different answer of what they think and what they think makes school enjoyable. Usually you will hear something around being active or being creative, and these things can propel students to very different levels of thinking and understanding, different levels that just academics alone cannot reach. Now, why are music and sports often treated as less important? Programs such as music and sports are usually first to face budget cuts or deemed as non-essential. Some parents and administrators even think of them as not real learning or a secondary thing. But on the other hand, music and sports are actually not extras, they're essential parts of learning and development. Today, I'm going to explore with you why music and sports are so important in education and how it can improve your focus and academics, and how sports can build your life skills, keep you fit and healthy, and how lastly, not just them by themselves, but how they can together create a more well-balanced student. Firstly, I'd like to talk about a little bit of music and brain development. Now, I took one anatomy class and don't know a ton about how the brain works, but from what I've researched in the past year, I've come to the conclusion that music sort of acts as a workout for your brain, and it improves your cognitive skills. Learning to read notes, keep rhythm, and coordinate with an instrument activates multiple parts of your brain at once. Neuroscientists at the University of Southern California, I quote, say that they found that kids who study music had longer connections in areas that are responsible for decision-making, memory, and language skills. These students who are in music programs scored an average of 92 points higher on the SAT, and also scored significantly higher on math and reading assignments. So this is because music involves the similar patterns that are used in problem-solving skills like math and science. Now, music strengthens many skills, and a few of those are reading and language learning. Learning to read sheet music is like language learning. It's like learning another language. Every note has a meaning, and musicians translate that into sound to create melodies and harmonies that work together. Now, because most of the same parts of your brain are used, all of these skills that you learn in music directly translate into reading and learning different languages. Not only adding music programs will improve your performance across all these subjects. Not only that, but adding them will improve your performance across all subjects. Music helps students manage stress and express their emotions. I've played personally guitar for 5 years and piano for about 6, and because a lot of me and my friends were homeschoolers, we were almost held to a different standard of education, making school very stressful at times. Students need healthy outlets, and music provides that. Students involved in music often report lower stress levels and higher satisfaction. Playing music releases dopamine, which is the brain's feel-good chemical. It also allows students to express emotions that are hard to put into words, giving them better communication with everyone around them, and this can directly translate into life in many aspects. Now, I've had people ask me, what if my kid just goes off in music in a corner alone and just uses that as something to get away from people? But I would argue that it has quite the opposite effect. I would argue that music actually teaches teamwork and builds your social skills. One example can be band or choir. Not only do you have to be the guy in the back that plays the triangle, you can be the leader that steps up in various different positions. Music is not only something that you learn in a short term and then forget, but actually it builds lifelong skills and opportunities. Music can develop perseverance, attention to detail, just to name a few. Students involved in music are also more likely to graduate high school and even earn scholarships into school. Even if you don't pursue a musical career, they gain confidence and stress management skills that will last a lifetime. This next point is kind of like music and sports together and transitioning into talking about sports. And it is activities like music and sports keep students away from crime and negative influences. Oftentimes, it can give students something else to pursue besides what everyone else of the world and their classmates are pursuing, which is usually negative things in today's world. Participation in sports also and music programs have led to a 44% reduction in violent crime arrests. These programs give students role models to look up to and goals to strive for and want, and eventually, hopefully, teach them to become leaders and role models themselves. Now, going fully into the sports side of things, I want to talk about how sports are a great way to keep the young community engaged and part of a healthy, meaningful activities. Sports can improve your academic performance through discipline and time management. Student athletes often have higher GPAs because they must balance school and going to practice. They must learn organization skills to help them keep focused and be responsible. They must learn to handle the consequences. Athletes often learn that their actions have outcomes, that missing practice or not putting in the effort leads to underwhelming results, making a student want to work and strive for something better. These lessons apply directly to academics. Not only that, they apply to life. Sports can also improve, obviously, your physical health and reduce disease risk. Physical activity greatly lowers the risk of obesity, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. Students also build lifelong healthy habits like exercising every day, keeping hydrated, disciplined, habits that they can pass on to others. Sports will improve also your mental health and emotional well-being. Active students are usually less anxious, less depressed, and will have a better self-image of themselves. Sports can release endorphins and reduce stress and help improve your mood. Sports can teach resilience, confidence, and handling failure. Students will learn to win with confidence and lose with growth. They develop perseverance and ability to keep improving. Sports can build teamwork, communication, but I think most importantly, leadership. Athletes learn to trust their teammates, work together, and lead others. These skills transfer directly into school, careers, and life. Sports can open numerous doors into college and career opportunities. Student athletes are more likely to attend and graduate college. Sports also build discipline, teamwork that are valued in any profession. Now, as my last point, I want to show how sports and music together create a more well-balanced student and how you cannot have one without the other. Music and sports develop very different but very complementary skills. Music, on one hand, has sort of a creativity, an emotional expression sort of aspect, and then sports is very physical expression and a lot of strategic learning. But both require discipline, practice, and teamwork. Together, music and sports create more well-balanced students. Music builds the mind and emotions. Sports can build the body and resilience. Both contribute to social, emotional, and intellectual growth. Music and sports provide lifelong benefits. Adults who played sports in high school usually stay active, and adults who did music usually stay engaged with the arts. Both lead to healthier, more balanced lives. In conclusion, I want to say that sports and music are not only something that should be put up on the side, but they are essential to education, not optional. Music strengthens the brain, reduces stress, and builds community. And sports builds discipline, leadership, and physical and mental health. Finally, cutting these programs means cutting opportunities for growth, success, and lifelong development. Music and sports together create more well-balanced students and individuals by strengthening the mind, body, and spirit. One without the other would be missing out on becoming the best you can be, not just in school or education, but in life. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
First question is, in terms of education,
Yeah.
should every student learn music?
I would say,
And how can they go about that?
I would say yes. I say that I'm trying to really drive in the point that just as every student should learn, the sciences, the maths, language, that music and sports are just as important. And I think music, in reality, I've had people say all sorts of different excuses on why they can't learn different things. But in reality, anyone can learn, the piano or guitar. And I think that it just builds very different skills that you don't necessarily learn in academics. So I think it is very necessary.
Yeah, I think you made good points of the benefits of it. I was curious, like what means of getting involved in music can students have, especially for a child who says, well, I'm not very coordinated on the piano.
Yeah.
I don't like the guitar.
Right. Yeah. I think that making music something that isn't like something like making it that's not like you have to do it, or like you making it not like wantable, I guess. Making it something fun, something that, especially if everyone does it. A lot of times, like, oh, the cool kids, he's on the football team, he's not going to play the piano. Just making it something that everyone does. A lot of times, like, if everyone's doing it, I know it's like sort of like a bad thing, like jumping on the bandwagon, but like if everyone's doing it, like, and it is a good thing, then they'll teach everyone else to do it. So I guess.
So what would be your advice to a homeschool mom?
Put your kids in music lessons, or find someone in the community that knows that can teach them. Yeah.
I thought your last point. We teach our kids peer pressure is bad, but not always, right? We can as peers encourage people to do good things. So I appreciate you pointing that out.
Yeah.
I wanted to say you were very dynamic and easy to listen to during your presentation, but I want to encourage you to take a breath.
Yeah.
Because I felt like you would say something and then I'd be like, oh, I got to think about that for a second, and then I couldn't because you were automatically on the next point, right? So just take a breath, because your audience needs to breathe too.
Yeah.
But Zeke, I know you well enough to know, I've seen you play guitar, I've seen you, lead worship, I've seen you on the softball field and things. But maybe the people in the room that don't know you as well, what drew you to this thesis?
I guess I wrote this about a year and a half ago, and I've always been super passionate about music and sports. And I know that's not necessarily everyone's thing, but I've just been more passionate about it because I've seen people miss opportunities that they could have taken to be involved in music and sports, and now they're graduating, and life goes on, and it gets hard, and eventually you're like, I'm working 40 hours a week and I can't do it. Right. But I don't know. I've just seen that it's really grown me, and I know it can grow everyone else too. So just seeing it as a more necessary thing than an optional thing.
Well, and I appreciate in your paper and in your presentation how you didn't limit music and sports to just being hobbies or outlets. And I know that it being an outlet for, is a good thing. But I appreciated your discussion about how, hey, when you're learning music, you're learning pattern recognition, which is helping you learn math, right? Or, and I just appreciated when you talk about sports, how that takes self-discipline, and you're teaching people to be organized. Yeah. I appreciated that you made it much more academic than just don't cut music and sports from school. Right. You brought it full circle, and I just really appreciated that. So thank you.
Yeah, I really wanted to hammer in that it's not they're not separate things. They are, but they also grow academics. Yeah. Just just like they all lean on each other, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed yours very much, and all of the effects of music and the effects of sports are fantastic. What kind of in line with the first question for Julie, don't students have different talents though? Some have a talent for music and some don't have a talent. So you talked about camaraderie and things like that. How do you help the kids that are clumsy at music or clumsy at sports to feel good?
Yeah. I guess it's kind of I like looking at them as pretty much a subject. It's kind of like I'm not super great at math, right? But I know that it has a lot of benefits, and I guess just having them know that there are actual benefits, even if they might not be the best star player on the team, and or the best at playing something. Like I wasn't. When I first learned guitar, it was incredibly hard. I wouldn't say like I loved it, and piano, because I was just like, oh, it's gonna take forever. But eventually, I know the year, 2 years went past, and then I stopped thinking about it. Right, I didn't have to okay, I put my hands here, right, and it just became like part of me, right. I think there are different talents that people have, but I think that trying new things and hard things out will definitely grow them. Even if they end up not loving it, they'll take something from it, perseverance or helping them grow. Yeah.
And how do you get the schools to spend money on music programs?
Yeah, I think music is a little, I guess, harder than sports because sports go out and just run around or every Sunday we'll do a little organized soccer game. But music, I don't know, especially with homeschooling, I feel like there's been a lot of community with oh, he wants to learn guitar, this person can teach them. And I guess I don't know a ton about public school because I haven't been there, but I do know that they have a lot of music programs in place, and I'm not sure if they're mandatory. So I think just making them sort of another subject. So then oh, okay, I'm headed to music class today. Just making it so it's a routine, I guess.
So a couple things. I thought your thesis was very well written. When I read it, I'm like, wow, really good. I think you made very clear points. I think you had good articulation and voice inflections, but the same thing that we all suffer from, talking is the ums and all that kind of thing. I just want to say, when I was a kid, in 4th grade, we played what was then called the flutophone. You guys remember flutophones? 4th grade, they're kind of like recorders, right? But you learned how to read notes and did stuff. And we had the music teacher come in and sing songs with us once a week, and that was a really important time. PE, on the other hand, was traumatizing for me. And I wish they would have included things like running or hiking or riding a bicycle instead of competitive sports where you have these competitors who just want to mow you down. So, but I thought you made your points really well.
Yeah. I think with the sports, not everything's for everyone. So having someone that doesn't like football, there's so many different options for them. That's one thing I do like about sports is hiking. That is physical activity. It might not be a sport, right? But just keeping yourself physical and active. I think a big thing that hiking doesn't have is teamwork. It's being on a team, I guess. But I just love the fact that there's just so many different options for people to choose from. Yeah.
In your life experience thus far, because you're talking about exercising, it seems a pretty natural thing for my generation that we ran around, we did things very physical.
Right.
Would you say with this new era, is that still true? Because youth has a tendency to be more active than maybe as you get older. or do you see that a lot of youth are not exercising?
Yeah, I feel like the majority of youth have been very like put into technology and just like they seem more invested in their phone or video games than they would be in playing a sport because it's easy. Because playing a sport helps you learn hard things, helps you persevere in that. Scrolling on TikTok exercises your fingers. Okay.
So great job, Zeke. I agree with everything that everybody said. I thought you did a really good job laying out the roadmap for where you were going to go for us, which was super helpful. Clear thesis, clear supporting points. We knew exactly what you were going to talk about. It was great. If I were to nitpick just a little bit, try to smooth out your transitions.
For sure.
Next, I'm going to talk about sports. It's a little clunky, and it kind of smoothed it out a little bit.
Yeah.
But you made some really clear, like, here's where I stand on this subject in my expertise kind of thing.
Sure.
I thought that was great. You opened by saying who in here has, you said something, I forget.
What people think about school, like what first comes to mind.
And you went through it super quick. Like as soon as you asked it, you were moving on.
Yeah.
Let us kind of enjoy our childhood in our minds just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because some of us is close, but some of us it's been a minute.
Yeah, most of that was just me being nervous and wanting.
Yeah. But it will also help you breathe.
Yeah.
And it'll help us connect with what you're about to say. And so it kills two birds with one stone.
Sure.
But great job. I agree with your conclusions. You did a good job. If you were to make a biblical case for your thesis, how would you do so?
I guess with the sports aspect, keeping like our bodies are a temple, keeping them healthy, and just I guess people seeing you and seeing you as an example, I guess. And then music, I feel like with worship, like we're called to worship the Lord and be in ministry, I guess, and music has so many different opportunities for that. So I don't have a really one sentence thing, but
I know it's on the spot.
Yeah.
No, great job. Appreciate you.
Awesome.